Hello, my fellow Q community. I'm Joe Marquez, Director of Academic Innovation for Q, and I want to show and share with you some cooking that I love to do that helps me unwind after a day. I get to cook with my family. I really enjoy it. So when we're done with a long day of teaching and working, we may not have time for a big, long prepared dinner, but that doesn't mean we can't do something quick that is rather tasty. So tonight I want to share with you how to make chili verde in an Instant Pot. Super quick, super easy. So the first thing you're going to need is some pork butt, or it's just a pork shoulder. So this one will do. And I want you to notice this one right here. I got this one on sale during the Christmas season. Normally during the Christmas season, that's big tamale season. And so the pork butt goes on sale. And so I got this for 88 cents a pound. So I got an 8-pound pork butt for $7. And you just go out, I bought about 4 of them, and I just put them in my deep freezer for whenever we need them. You're also going to need some tomatillos. So tomatillos are a member of the tomato family, and they are very acidic, and they're packed full of flavor. You're going to need about a pound of them, which roughly translates to about 4 or 5. You're going to need some chilies as well. So I go with poblano. You need about 2/3 pounds of these, which translates into about 2 poblano peppers. And then about a ½ pound of anaheim peppers, about 2 of those as well. I'm a garlic guy, so you're going to want to use about 6 cloves of garlic right here. And then all you need after that is a little bit of seasoning. And so you're going to need about a little bit less than a tablespoon of cumin. You know me, I love my fennel, so I'm going to add a little bit of fennel seed to this as well. You're definitely going to need a healthy pinch of kosher salt. And when it's done cooking in the Instant Pot, you're going to blend the juices together with a little bit of cornstarch. And then you're also going to add a little bit of fish sauce. Now, this is just to give it like a meaty umami kind of flavor. It doesn't taste like fish. It just gives it a little bit of depth. So that's basically all. Oh, and then we also need, can't forget, onions. You need about 1 medium onion or 2 small sized onions. And that's basically all you need. And we're going to just throw it in the Instant Pot and let it simmer till it grows up to pressure for about 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do is cut up our pork butt. And the reason we want to start with this is the part that's going to take the longest. You're going to want about 4 to 5 pounds of pork, and you want to cut it in large, about 2-inch chunks. The Instant Pot does a really good job at breaking down all of the fat and muscle tissue. So you want to give it some pretty big cuts so that it doesn't just fall apart in your dish. So like I said, you're going to want, this is a 4-pounder, so I'm going to cut about half of this guy right here. Let me grab a plate for the other half. And the other half makes some really great pork tacos. You can do some pastor tacos in there. Pretty much anything that you want will fit right in. So let me just transfer this guy right over here. And of course, put this in the sink. And now from here, you're just going to cut up your pork. Again, you want about some pretty big chunks, about 2 inches in here. Now, if you don't want to go with pork butt, I've also tried this with some good pork loin. It is a little bit leaner, but it does come out just as good. So I highly recommend, if you don't like the pork butt because it has a little bit too much fat in there, you can definitely go in and use, like I said, use a little bit of the pork loin. So this does take a little bit of while. I think this actually takes probably the majority of the time that it takes to prepare. The entirety of this, I mean, before you turn on the pot, is going to take about 15 total minutes. So let's just get down to business and finish these cuts. All right, so now that your meat is cut up, you are now going to put in your vegetables. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my tomatillos. Again, you want to take off the skin of the tomatillos right here, and you're just going to cut them into just a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller than quarters, depending on how big your tomatillos are. And the tomatillos have so much liquid in them that you are not going to need to put any liquid into your Instant Pot. And I know that's kind of blasphemous for anybody using Instant Pots, because you have to make, I mean, you need to make sure there's enough liquid to steam. But the tomatillos are going to supply all that liquid. And everything is going to meld together. Everything's going to get to know each other in the pot. And they're going to just all combine their flavors into a super powered punch of just great chili verde. So some of you out there going, what about the water? What about the liquid? You don't need to worry about it. No liquid, no water, nada is needed in this. And these are just rough cuts. We're not trying to win a culinary award for our cuts here. Be very careful. If you're using the same mat that you cut the pork on, it's going to be very slippery, so just be very careful. So we've got the tomatillos. Next, I'm going to go for the Anaheim peppers. I just cut off the top. I square it down the middle. Now, you could take out the seeds if you want. They're not spicy. In fact, this recipe originally called for 2 serrano peppers, but come on now, I have two daughters under the age of 5, and they don't do spicy well. And this is something that they do like, as long as we don't make it spicy. So this is not a spicy chili verde, but if you want to make it spicy, you definitely can add in 2 serrano peppers or 2 jalapeno peppers, depending on your preference. So there is the first Anaheim. And here I go cutting into the second Anaheim. Again, just cut it right down the middle. Now, if you're watching this outside of California, Anaheim peppers may be hard to come by. You can also do this chili verde recipe with, instead of poblano and Anaheim, you would utilize hatch. So if you have green hatch chilies, you can use those all by themselves, and you'd use about 1.5 pounds of those hatch chilies to make this. So don't worry, if you do not have access to Anaheim or poblanos, you can definitely use hatch as well. I don't recommend using the hatch peppers out of a can because they're already kind of liquefied in there. But you know, if that's all you have is those hatch peppers in a can, then I guess you have to do what you have to do to get this recipe done. So right now we're doing our poblanos. And again, we just are cutting it down so that when they do stew together in the pot, we're giving them enough surface area to all get together in that pot. So let me get my last poblano here. Now, if you do want to add some depth of flavor to this and you do have a little bit more time, you can definitely roast your poblanos. I've done it right on my gas grill right behind me. Just turn on the gas grill and then hold the poblano peppers for a minute or so on each side. It does get that smokiness to it. So you can definitely do that. But again, this is something that I make in a quick amount of time. So you may not have the time that I have either. So you can easily just skip that part. So I have 2 small onions. You can definitely use yellow onions here if you want. I just like to utilize white onions when I am cooking Mexican food. To me, it just takes on more flavor of the dish, and it also gives that flavor back. So I just always use white. Like when I'm making my pico de gallo salsa, I definitely use my white onions, so it'll soak up the lime and garlic when we're doing that. So these are 2 small onions. So I'm going to grab 1 more onion over here. Plus, I love onions. If I order fajitas, I always ask for extra onions. Now, you don't have to worry about these guys causing any of that, swelling of the face. They don't have as much acidity as, let's say, a red onion or a purple onion. But yeah, if you're sitting there chopping them super fine, you might get a little bit of that watery of the eyes right there. There we go. And then finally, the last vegetable we're going to add in here is the garlic. And we definitely love the garlic. So we're going to go ahead and smash the garlic here. One of my absolute favorite parts. There we go. And then just, rough chop after you've smashed it. Again, you're throwing it into the pot. You want to get as much surface area from this garlic that you can so that it mingles well. All right. Now, at this point, you're going to want to turn on your Instant Pot saute option. We just want to start to get it getting to a temperature point that we can start having them sweat a little bit. Once again, this is all going to happen by itself into the pot, but I just like for it to get up to a little bit of a temperature before I close the top right on it. Now, this is the point where you're going to add in your spices. Now, the original recipe that I had for this called for a full tablespoon of cumin seeds. So because I'm using already ground cumin, I'm only going to do about 3/4 of a teaspoon. And cumin is usually one of the only spices that I measure out because, a little bit goes a long way, but I do love my cumin. Or cumin, however you like to say it. Next, you're going to salt it on up. Again, I don't measure it out. You need about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of salt. We can always add more salt when we finish this up after it's coming out of the pot. And then, of course, again, I love my fennel. Again, about a teaspoon of fennel. That should be perfectly fine. So at this point, we are good to go. We have our pork in the pot. We have our tomatillos in the pot, which is going to give us a lot of that liquid that we absolutely want. We have our Anaheim peppers. We have our poblano peppers. If you want a little bit of spicy, you can throw in 2 serrano peppers. We have our onions. We have our garlic. We have our salt. We have our cumin. And of course, we threw in a little bit of that fennel seed as well. So we are good to go at this point. So at this point, this is what you need to do. You need to come into the pot and you need to make sure that you mix all of that goodness around. So while that saute option is on, so you're going to come into this pot and just mix everything up all the way around. Now, again, you're not looking to cook the meat through. You're not looking to get your onions translucent. You're just waiting for a little bit of sizzle at the bottom of that pot. That's all you are waiting for, is a little bit of sizzle at the bottom of your pot. So I'm going to just let it sit there and let it sizzle on up for a few minutes. All right, so I hear the sizzle happening right down here at the bottom. So I think we are good to go. So at this point, you're going to turn off the saute. You're going to put your top on. Make sure it's locked into place. Make sure your valve here is turned on or closed. So make sure you push it all the way to the top so that it is closed. So we're here and we're good to go at that point. And then what we absolutely need to do is we need to make sure that on our pot right here, we're going to come down to manual 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Manual 30 minutes, and you're good to go. And we're going to let this puppy sit, and we will come right back, and we'll show you how to finish up your chili Verde Instant Pop Spectacular Meal. Okay, we'll see you right back here as soon as this is done.
All right, so now that our Instant Pot has come all the way up to pressure, we are now going to go to the top of the Instant Pot, and we are manually going to release the steam. So you're going to turn this dial right here, and then you need to back up because that steam is going to come right out of the top. Okay, so here we go. All right, now that we have the steam completely evacuated from the Instant Pot, we're going to go ahead and open it up. Wow, look at that. Everything has been juiced. Everything is mingling together. Now, what we need to do now is we need to take out the meat and the vegetables and put them here in this bowl. Because what we want to do at this point is we want to leave just the juices so we can add a few extra ingredients. So you're going to be taking out the meat and then just placing it into the bowl right here. Now, you're going to want to use a spoon or spatula with holes in it, like this one right here. This will allow you to easily take out your meat and vegetables while having the broth still being left alone there in the pot. So let's go ahead and just take the rest of this out. All right, so now that we have all of the meat and vegetables out, what we need to do is add our cornstarch and water slurry. So I have some water in here, and I'm going to put about a tablespoon of this cornstarch right into the water. And when I put it in, I'm going to mix them together so that the cornstarch dissolves into the water. Now, you're going to mix it up, and you're going to then slowly place it into the pot when we are ready for it. Now, this is where I'm going to add the fish sauce. So now this is completely optional. I like to add this. It gives it a great meaty flavor, and you're going to be adding 1 tablespoon of this right into here. So I'm going to grab my tablespoon, and I'm going to then just put it in. So tap, 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 right here into my tablespoon. And you're going to then place this right into the pot. There we go. All right, so now after I've placed this in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of cilantro. Now, I love cilantro. It's really good. Some people don't care for it that much. Some people say it tastes like soap, but here it is. And cilantro goes bad in the refrigerator relatively quick. So my wife has found a way to take the cilantro and put it in this mason jar with a little bit of water. You cover it with a plastic bag and it keeps in the refrigerator for quite a long time. So I'm going to go ahead and take these stems out and I'm going to chop some cilantro here and I'm going to place it right into the pot. Now, some people again don't like cilantro. I love it. To some people it tastes a little bit like soap, but to me, it just adds that authentic flavor to the chili verde. So I'm just going to take the knife here and I'm just going to finely chop it up all the way down to the bottom of the stems. And I'm going to take this and just throw it right here into the pot. There we go. Now, after I've added all the cilantro, I'm going to use one of my favorite kitchen gadgets, the hand blender. I love this thing. I can just throw it right into the pot and mix everything up. It's a Cuisinart. I think my wife and I got it when we got married. If you don't have one of these, you can easily throw this into a blender on its own. But look how easy this is. I just put it into the pot. And this is where I also take a little bit of my cornstarch slurry. I put it in and I turn the mixer on low and look at this puppy. Look how it goes. It just blends up really nice, really easy all the way through. And I just slowly keep adding a little bit at a time that cornstarch mixture just to thicken it all the way up. So there we go. I'm going to add the rest. Just keep having that hand mixer go so that the cilantro and the fish sauce and all the little different particulates that were left over from the steaming process are then finally blended into this great tasting green chili broth. So we just keep mixing up. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute. If you want to then turn it up to high, you definitely can. So let's just mix, mix, mix. All right, so we're done mixing the broth. We have the cornstarch mixture. We put in the fish sauce, and then we went ahead and added our cornstarch to thicken it up. But you want to taste it. So here we go. Let's come down here and taste it. It needs a little bit more salt. So I'm going to reach over here. I'm going to grab the salt, and I'm just going to add a little bit more right now. And then I'm going to taste it as soon as we're done. So there we go. Just add that little bit more salt left. We're going to stir it up here so that that salt dissolves into that broth. There we go. And now I'm going to just taste it one last time to see how it goes. And yep. Yeah, that's exactly the flavor that I'm looking for. So once you have that flavor that you're looking for, you're then going to add back your meats and your vegetables so that they can simmer, so they can live a little bit longer here into the sauce, so they can soak up the rest of those juices as we put it together. Just add the rest of it in there all the way down. There we go. Just a little bit more. Perfect. To really have a tasty chili verde, this way of doing it in the Instant Pot just takes what my grandmother would spend hours going in there and creating this chili verde. This can take just a matter of minutes, and when you're done with it, you can easily put it into tortillas for tacos. You can put it on top of nachos the next day. You can even turn it in to like a chili verde pizza, which is really great. So it really lasts and lasts and lasts. So definitely take a look at this chili verde and try it out because it is a really, really great thing. And you can also make some great easy Spanish rice to go along with your meal. Just a really great tasty treat for your family, done in under 45 minutes. Super quick, super easy, and it is probably going to be one of the best tasting chili verdes that you're ever going to try. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much for taking the time to look at how to make this recipe. If your family loves it as much as my family does too. Have a great day.